All that I am seeking to do is to become the savior that ends the long history of fighting amongst Shinobi. Wrong, Madara. You are not the savior.
The shadowy figure that's in the background, the man who watches everything, that man's name is Black Zetsu. Now Black Zetsu started all of Naruto, essentially, if you think about it. Now for this story, for this character, we have to go way back to the past, even before ninjas was even a thing in the world. We have to go back to the time where Hagoromo and his brother Hamura started it all. Now we will get to the story in a second, but this is part 1 of a part 12 series. I will make a video on every single Akatsuki character. Now it might be over time and it may be after other characters' videos. I haven't figured out how I wanted to do that, but yeah, this is part 1 of a part 12 series. Let's get on into the story. Long before the Shinobi calendar began, there were 2 sons. Wait. Too far in the past, my bad, y'all. Let's skip ahead a little bit. And right here, you're probably thinking in your mind right now, how did they get to this point? Why did you skip all of that stuff with the 2 sons? Well, the reason was none of that really matters. The main thing that matters is what I'm going to talk about later in this video. But the way they got to this point was because Kaguya got too power hungry. So her 2 sons had to defeat her. And that's what they did. They defeated her. But within them defeating her, Kaguya used the last bit of her power before she was sealed away for 1,000 years. She made Black Zetsu, waiting for his revenge, lurking in the shadows. He watched. He let them have their peace, but that was all about to change. Now within the 2 sons defeating their mother Kaguya and the Ten Tails, they had to figure out what they was going to do with the Ten Tails power. So Hagoromo came up with the master plan of splitting the Ten Tails power into 9 different beasts. And the other brother, Hamura, went to the moon to put watch over their mother. And Hagoromo stayed on Earth to have 2 sons, Indra and Ashura. Now I am going to explain the difference between the 2 brothers, Indra and Ashura. Indra is the genius older brother, a prodigy if you will. He founded the Uchiha clan and he only believes power brings peace. Ashura is the younger brother who believes love brings peace, the founder of the Uzumaki and the Senju clan. Now it was another normal day for the 2 sons. Indra was in the forest training like how he normally does, but he sensed a strange presence. That presence was Black Zetsu. Now what was he doing in the forest watching this little kid train? We don't know, but we soon figure it out. And so Black Zetsu starts steering the pot. He tells Indra that he can become stronger than his father one day, the sage of the 6 paths. How does he know that? I don't know, but he does know that is the truth. Indra starts training every single day from this point on. He starts trusting Black Zetsu. But while Black Zetsu was gaining the trust of Indra, showing him that he has more power, helping him gain more power. And so while they're in the middle of training, we see that Ashura is having trouble of his own. Now he was having a wonderful time playing with his friends at this time, but they ran into a wild boar. This brother is not strong enough to defeat the boar. So him and his friends are trying to figure out what to do in this situation. But Ashura gets pummeled by the boar. And so Indra sensed that his brother was in danger and he showed up since he was already in the forest. And he took down the boar with one single move. Now if you know this move, you're a real Naruto fan. He used the Chidori, or at least an early version of it, to take down the boar. Shout out to my man Kakashi. Now this was clever on Black Zetsu part. Why was there a wild boar in the forest anyway that was that aggressive? We don't know, but Indra figured that it had something to do with Black Zetsu. But at the time it was just a hunch that Indra had, but he should have trusted that hunch. He should have trusted his gut. And so we get a little time skip. Indra and Ashura are a little bit older now. They learn how to control their power a little bit better. They're training to become the next sage of the six paths, to take over their father's place. But it has been a little bit too quiet. Where has Black Zetsu been? And so Indra goes into the forest to go find Black Zetsu to talk to him. And so that's what he does. He finds Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu and Indra have a little talk in the forest, a little one-on-one talk, you know what I'm saying? You know, nothing too crazy. But they talk about Indra's power and how he is so strong and how he can have everything that he wants. But Black Zetsu teases him and doesn't let him know any more than that. And so, with Indra knowing that he is this strong, with Black Zetsu telling him that he is this strong, it gets to his head basically. And so he starts training like he normally does, but it does nothing for him. So he leaves. He feels like the village that they are in is holding him back, and he doesn't come back for a while. He goes on a mission, okay? And Black Zetsu is watching him, watching everything that the two brothers are doing. And so Ashura doesn't think anything of it. He starts living his life normally. He's just chilling in a forest, observing nature, because that's just something he likes to do, I guess. But this one guy pulls up on him and basically asks him for a favor. He basically says, "My mom is really sick. This is the only way I can get her medicine. And you're the only person around that can knock down these trees, right?" And so Ashura agrees. He helps the guy with his problems. And so he knocks down a couple trees for him and go about his day. And so apparently that was a crime. Apparently Ashura just didn't care. I don't really know. But Indra was not letting this go. So they eventually found the guy that Ashura helped, and they locked him up and sent him away. But apparently the guy was actually trying to help his mother. He was not doing anything wrong in that sense. Now you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with Black Zetsu? Well, I was about to get to that. The reason I'm explaining this part of the story is because Black Zetsu is responsible for Indra's way of thinking. And basically Indra leaves it alone. He lets Ashura have this one. And so it's time for Ashura to go on his own mission. Now on this mission, Ashura learns about the God Tree. He learns that it is making the people in the area sick. Now, I am going to let the blocky narrator explain what the God Tree is.
The God Tree seed landed on Earth from a meteorite several millennia ago. It was believed that the God Tree nourished the land and helped it thrive, while in truth, the God Tree was slowly killing the land and its people by draining natural energy from them. It was believed that anyone who approached the tree was consumed by a demon spirit and died like a withered branch.
And so, Ashura was taking the extra mile to figure out what was making the village people sick. And it turns out it was the tree. The tree was the reason that people was getting sick. So, Ashura had to come up with a plan to figure out how to get them some other water. And so that's what he does. He finds them some water. It took him a while, but he did find it. And he saved the village people water supply. So he achieves his mission and starts to make his way home. But Indra is already there talking to their father. But their father was not interested in how fast Indra completed his mission. And so Indra just had to accept that fact. So he went out later that night into the forest again. And this time Black Zetsu popped up on him. And they have a short chat. And now it was time for the two brothers to figure out who was going to be the next successor. And it turns out it was Ashura. And so this makes Indra feel a certain way. And this left Indra wondering, why didn't father pick me? I am the better brother. I completed my mission faster than him. Why can I be the successor. And so we get back to the village and we see that everyone is having a wonderful time, partying, laughing, having fun, drinking, and the village randomly gets attacked. And it turns out that the person that was attacking was Indra. Yes, he let the power get to his head and he finally unleashed it. And this is exactly what the Sage of the Six Paths has seen. This is the reason he did not pick Indra. And so, a fight broke out between the two brothers. If you guys want to know who won the fight, you will have to look that up. This video is not about them. Remember, this video is about Black Zetsu. Speaking of Black Zetsu, where's he at now? Oh, there he is. Me sneaky as always. If you guys want to know what he's doing, you'll have to wait later into the video. So, if you guys did not understand what he was doing in his first part, I am going to have the BACKKKK narrator explain what he was doing.
Black Zetsu whispered to Indra early, feeding his ego and pushing him toward power, isolation, and domination. This led Indra to create ninjutsu, weaponizing chakra instead of spreading peace. Indra's resentment toward Ashura became the origin of the eternal Uchiha Senju conflict, which Zetsu needed to repeat forever. On the other hand, Ashura represented love, cooperation, and unity. Hagoromo chose him as the successor, which enraged Indra and cemented the cycle of hatred. Their reincarnations kept fighting for generations, exactly the kind of endless conflict Zetsu needed to continue his plan.
So, for this next part of the video, we will be jumping ahead in time just a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean 1,000 years. But in between those 1,000 years, Black Zetsu was always in the shadows. Indra and Ashura got reincarnated over that time, and Black Zetsu seen it all. He made sure that the reincarnates always fought, because that was just a part of his plan. Now, the next reincarnates was Hashirama and Madara. Now, Black Zetsu focused heavily on Madara instead of Hashirama, because he knew that Madara was an Uchiha. He knew that the Uchihas were more emotional. That's a fact. Look it up. I promise. Now, Madara and Indra had something in common. They both wanted power. And you know who was in the background telling him he can have all of this power? It was Black Zetsu. And I'm not gonna lie, this man Black Zetsu did so much to make this plan happen. He low-key deserved it to happen. Anyway, let's get back on into the story. So, for Madara and Hashirama, there's not really much to say about their story. We didn't really see much about their story. But I could tell you what Black Zetsu's plan was at that point in time. He wanted Madara and Hashirama to fight. But he wanted Hashirama to be out of the picture so he could not stop his plans. But that did not happen. Madara lost to Hashirama and died. So Zetsu had to come up with another plan. A backup plan. And so we travel 50 years into the future and we meet this kid, Obito. Now, at this point in time, Obito got crushed by a rock and nearly died by saving his best friend, Kakashi. And we soon come to find out that Madara was not dead. He was actually the one who saved Obito from that rock. Now, why did he save Obito at this time? We don't know. But he did, and that's all that matters. Now we come to figure out that Obito starts to hate the world. He starts to get manipulated by Madara. But we see this white thing, this white creature. His name is White Zetsu. Yes, we have Black Zetsu, we have White Zetsu. It's I don't know. It's like yin and yang, I guess. But that was all a part of Black Zetsu's plan. And so, at this point in time, Obito was very injured from that rock that crushed him earlier. And so, he had to use White Zetsu in order to get around. He could not move around without half of White Zetsu. And so, he used that to gain his strength back, to start training, to gain more power, so he could change the world. But, that was a part of Black Zetsu and Madara's plan. They wanted to use Obito. But Obito did not really trust Madara or Black Zetsu, at least not yet. And so some years has passed. Obito has become healthy enough to move on his own, to do what he wants. And so Madara tells him to take up my name. He is now Madara. And so later down the line, he meets this kid named Nagato, and he is the founder of the Akatsuki. Now, years has passed, and we now have the Akatsuki that we all know and love. Now, I am going to have the Baki narrator explain what is the Akatsuki.
The Akatsuki is a criminal organization in the world of Naruto made up of powerful S-rank rogue ninja who left their home villages. Originally formed with different goals, the group evolved under Obito Uchiha, posing as the legendary Madara Uchiha.
And so, the big plan that the Akatsuki had was trying to collect all of the 9-tailed beasts. And so, that's what they did. Everybody went to different regions and collected their beasts. And if you failed, you had consequences. So you did not want to fail. Now, what each Akatsuki member was doing was very illegal in their world. You cannot go around beating people up and taking their tailed beasts. That's just not how it works in the world of Naruto. And so the 5 great lands started to notice their tailed beasts are missing. And so everybody pointed at the Akatsuki for a good reason, because they were the ones taking the tailed beast. They were the ones collecting that power. And so the 5 great leaders sat around in a room. They had a meeting. They was trying to figure out what to do with the Akatsuki. Should they eliminate them or not? What do they do? And so Madara Uchiha pulled up to their meeting, all swagger like, and declared war on everyone. And again, this was a part of Black Zetsu plan. And before the big war broke out, Madara needed help. He needed allies that he can count on in this war. And one of those allies was Kabuto. Now, Kabuto could reanimate people. And one of those people that he reanimated was Madara Uchiha, the original. Now, how did he get Madara body? We don't know. Kabuto is a snake. We don't like him. Fuck Kabuto. Fuck his... My bad. I just really hate Kabuto. And so since the original Madara was back, Obito had to take a back seat. He was no longer Madara. And so the official 4th grade ninja war has started. Everyone has started fighting, but Obito and Madara side started losing to Naruto side in the war. So they had to pull something out of their ass. And what they did was insane. And Madara becomes the 10-tails Jinchuriki. But that is exactly what Black Zetsu wanted. That is exactly what he needed to happen. So while Madara was flexing all of his power, while he was saying that he was the best, he was going to be the savior of the world, it was time for Black Zetsu to step in. And that's when he betrays Madara and let us know his plan to bring his mother back to life. And he achieves that mission. He actually brings her back to life. Once she's back, once Black Zetsu achieves his goal, Naruto and the gang has to figure out what they're going to do about this situation. And so they figure it out, and they eventually stop Mother and Black Zetsu. And that's the end of his story.
You all believed this was your story. Indra, Ashura, your hatred was never yours. I planted it and harvested it. Madara, you were never my ally. You were my puppet. Every truth you saw was a lie I needed you to obey. Obito, you thought you became Madara. You never realized Madara was only a tool, just like you. There was never an Akatsuki, never a grand plan but mine. This was my story, the story of Black Zetsu.
Now, this video was not really about the fights. It was really just about how Black Zetsu did everything behind the scenes. Now, if you guys want an in-depth breakdown about fight scenes, I can make a separate video on that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys had some good laughs. And yeah, Universal out.